Welcome to You Are Your Name. In this third season, we're talking to a Caballerian name consultant at the head office and discussing balanced names and different aspects of it. Our guest today is Doria Delane, who is the senior name consultant at the head office. Thank you for joining us, Doria.
Thank you, Dakin. It's a pleasure.
So the question today, Doria, is for people who get a balanced name recommendation. There is a section on vocations that are relative to the inner potential. Now, they may not be in those vocations, so I wondered if you could just talk about that, why it's in the balanced name recommendation and how they can interpret it and how that would be important to them to understand.
As you have read in your balanced name recommendation and original name report, you've discovered that a name is important because a name creates your natural desires, inclinations, and tendencies, why you attract certain conditions. But when you were born and took your first breath of life, an energy was awakened within you, which we determine your birth path or your reason for being. That is the natural inclination that is requiring expression for fulfillment. But if your name creates conditions that are drawing you into a different direction than those natural inner tendencies, then this is what causes often a frustration or a discontent or opposing conditions in one's life. When you think about it, we live in our careers all our lives until a certain age where we may step back to have a different expression of freedom because our work time in the career of our vocation is over. But building that is so necessary to your true fulfillment. And so we offer the description of some vocations relative to your month, day, and year of birth to give you an idea what the natural tendency is within you and how that quality should be expressing in your life. Now, you may be in a career where you feel totally fulfilled, and it can be natural to your inner potential. Or perhaps you can just make a slight change in it or just redirect your efforts so you find an even greater sense of fulfillment. Or perhaps your vocation is totally opposite to what you really desire and an inclination is. Then we encourage you to develop an avocation relative to those natural tendencies.
So you mean like a hobby or
A
an interest
hobby or
outside of work?
that's right, where you start developing it. And then over time, that could become your main vocation, if it's possible. Or in the vocation that you're already in, you may find that, you're really better as an entrepreneur and taking the skills that you have and starting your own business. Or you may go into the counseling side of it, or you may go in the managing side of it, because you realize just doing the practical details every day doesn't inspire you. But if you can teach it and educate others about it, you would be more fulfilled. So you take the foundation skills and you broaden out on them.
So just an example, I have a friend who's a 9 birth path, and that's a very inspirational, giving quality. And yet he's in a very technical field. So in order to develop his um, expression, he got into music in a big way. And so he was in a barbershop quartet and he was doing a lot of singing. So even though his technical field was relative to his skills that he developed while he was younger, once he had the balanced name, he wanted an outlet for that inner quality. And so he took a hobby relative to music and it gave him a lot of fulfillment.
Exactly. It's a perfect example. And that's happened to many people. But sometimes we keep moving on to different areas, but don't really feel fulfilled or know why we're wanting to move on. And so by understanding your inner nature and understanding how your name has developed your life, you can make the changes to find that fulfillment. And so this is what it's all about, is understanding how the mathematical qualities truly are the natural direction in your life. And it can be just a sense or a tendency one way, but as you find an outlet, you realize that's what gives you the freedom. So the more you can understand what your true nature is and what the refinement is of being able to give expression to those qualities, this is where you will find your greatest happiness factor.
So could you go through the 1 to 9 qualities as an inner potential and just give a description of the essence that they need to develop in their mind to express those qualities?
If your month, day, and year of birth works out to a 1 quality, there is a strong need for independence, self-reliability, and creativity in your personal and business life. You should develop a career where you express your natural leadership, strengths of positivity, persevering, and leadership roles such as an entrepreneur. The 2 quality has a more blending nature and brings a desire to work with people, or in a social supportive position, merging and creating harmony in the workplace. They are the diplomats, counselors, and social workers, using their quick-minded skills to create greater harmony and cooperative conditions in their work environment. The 3 quality needs outlets for self-expression, spontaneity, and are musical, creative, and artistic, and have a more inspirational quality. This should be developed to bring out their ability to give and share with others. Their enthusiasm is a strong energy that needs expression and flexibility in their environment. They are cosmopolitan and need outlets to allow their natural giving, expressive nature to flourish. The 4 quality has a strong, practical, persevering nature and are reliable, steadfast, and consistent in their efforts. They are more intellectually driven and have technical and methodical skills and application in their efforts. They are educators and thorough in their commitments. The 5 qualities are the adventurers and tend towards looking for changing opportunities that stimulate their progressive nature. They seek challenges and are self-reliant and independent and require mental stimulation to make progress. They are highly creative and require opportunities that stimulate their minds. The 6th quality is the natural teacher and manager and take their role very seriously to educate others and can excel in both practical and inspirational fields. They desire to take responsibilities at an early age and are capable and reliable to fit into many areas of responsibility. The 7 quality requires independence and freedom from external pressures, and they are often drawn into areas where they are not pressured by others, but are intellectually creative and artistic and reserved in their approach to their business career. They can be drawn into the out-of-doors work, nature, journalism, music, anywhere where they are not under the pressure of others. The 8 quality is the natural manager. The 8 quality tends to see things on a bigger scale. They're very ambitious, very creative, very expressive. They're very business-minded, and they always strive to make progress, to see something to improve their lives or to improve others' lives. They have natural organizing ability, and they're practical. They're stable, and they can show an understanding towards the need of others so that they have the ability to place people in their natural roles to give them the fulfillment as well. The 9 quality is the natural caring quality. It's the person that always lives for an ideal of service to others. They're inspirational, they're creative, they love to specialize, they love to give service to others. And whatever they do it in a big way. They don't just think in a small way. And so they have to be in positions where they can share and give to others. Very artistic, very inspirational, very visionary in their approach to life. This is just a short overview to show how there are many shadings to human potential. Now, the individual qualities that we've just described are essences of each one of the 1 to 9 potentials. But we can be a part of each quality depending upon the quality of our month of birth, the individual day of birth, and the year of birth. So there's so many shadings that create our inner needs, our desires, and the tendency towards certain careers in our life. But it's important to understand who we are as an individual and how we can express those inner qualities in our personal life, in our business life, and in our overall goals and ideals in life.
So, just to be clear, if someone's in a career and they're quite satisfied with it, they get a balanced name, there's no pressing need to change your career, right?
That's correct.
But what you're saying is that within that career, you want to develop those qualities that are part of your inner potential. And in every career, whether it's IT or being in the legal profession or customer service, there is an outlet for each of the qualities. Each quality has a different shading, so you will express within that career relative to those qualities. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, absolutely. And I think what's important is to understand yourself, understand your true needs and desires and inclinations, and to evaluate, are you fulfilled? And there are so many shadings in our birth path qualities from the birth date that one quality may be more dominant than the other. But the key is that we're striving to have fulfillment, not the frustration in the everyday activities and career. But if your nature is quite inspirational, but you're in a technical field, then take the opportunity to find some creative outlet, because that's what's going to give you more buoyancy, more lift, more inspiration. And it will help to balance between the practical field and the inspirational. And you will notice such a difference in your energy, in your direction in your life, and just that buoyancy and that lift towards your own fulfillment.
Just a clarification on the birth path. You mentioned it's the month, the date, and the year, and you reduce each of those to a single digit, and then you add that up for the birth path. I have an example. I knew someone who was a 7 birth path, and their first minor was a 2. So that is based on the month they were born in. They were born in February. And so they got into social work. They wanted to help people. They had an ideal of helping people. And then when they hit 27, they came under the date influence. And that's in this particular case, he went under a 5. And he actually shifted his careers from social work and he got into sales. But it was sales that had an ideal behind it. They were selling development courses. Then their final minor was a 9. When at 54, you shift to the influence of the year. And they basically were semi-retired at that point, and they were doing a lot more work in the community and helping their families establish their business. So it's interesting how the inner potential will express, even you're not conscious of it. This person didn't know anything about it because that's part of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
But it's their name that's driving their thinking pattern. But the inner potential is still there as qualities that they want to develop, even though they're not consciously aware of it.
So often one does sense that natural inclination, and the name can allow an expression for it. Sometimes it totally limits it. And that's where we want to be aware of, are we being fulfilled? And so that's why it's so important to understand what our qualities are, but actually the principle that creates it, so that we can really guide our lives, no matter what our age is, whether a younger person or whether in the middle age or the more senior years, we can experience the fulfillment if we understand who we are and strive to live in harmony with that natural, intelligent law of life. That's what will bring the ultimate fulfillment in our life.
So that's why it's so important to understand your inner potential using the mathematical principle. You can deliberately develop those qualities no matter what career you are in.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Doria, for your thoughts.
Thank you, Dakin. It's a pleasure.
Next week will be our final episode of this season, and Doria and I will be discussing a name change testimonials, part 2. Season 4 will follow the week following, and that will be on a new topic. We'll be discussing 5 different areas that are related directly to name. That is our purpose, happiness, mental balance, mental freedom, and how to create happy, long-lasting relationships. So tune in next week, and until then, happy thoughts. Whenever you're ready, here are 3 ways we can help you. Number 1, the Balanced Name Recommendation Service. Join the thousands of others who have harmonized their names with their inner potential to improve their health, happiness, and success. Number 2, learn the principles of mental freedom. Participate in our online training program to gain the essential tools to create all the progressive changes you seek in your life. These proven truths will open up new perspectives and accelerate your attainment of health, happiness, and success. Number 3, let Kalex Solutions help you choose a balanced name for your business because many business names are an impediment to one's overall business success.